fly a kite. Summer is just around the corner. Here in Florida, it feels like summer already. But it's springtime everywhere. And guess, well, at least in the northern hemisphere. For those of you in Australia, you're going into your autumn, right? I never, it's always boggles my mind. But anyway, I wanted to paint a landscape that shows a couple of kids just playing and flying a kite. So that's what I did. And I have so many thoughts about this. And it was one of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you, and I do mention this toward the end of the video that you're about to watch, if you watch it, is that the painting serves as a way, you hang it on the wall, and people who look at it just get a moment of joy, maybe a moment of memory. Oh, I remember when I flew a kite. Or, oh, gosh, I would love to be on that hill. That kind of a thing. Or maybe you're going through a tense moment and you'll glance up and you'll see a painting that brings you a little peace, brings you a little comfort. That's why I do these. That's the real reason why I do these paintings. You know, it brings me peace also to paint them. But hopefully it brings people peace to see them. So let me show you how I did this one. It's easier than it looks, by the way. I'll show you how I did this one right now. Good morning. Let's do another painting. And this time, it's probably not going to be that different than the last time. This is another 11 by 14 canvas. And here's my palette. I have decided that paper plates are the best palettes. This is just not a discovery, but it's just a realization. It's like I always used paper plates in the beginning, way back. And then I thought I was getting fancy, and I got the, you know, the palette that looks like something a real artist would use, whatever that means. It just gets too bulky, it's too in the way. And so, and paper plates, you know, you can throw them away when you're done. Anyway, did I just mess up the camera? Is it crooked now? Yeah. All right, so anyway, it's painting today. It's just another landscape. I'm doing as many paintings as I can between now and November to to donate to the church that I go to, which is St. John Lutheran Church in Ocala, Florida, because they have an art auction in November. And last year I contributed to it by giving them greeting cards that I painted. I gave them 200 greeting cards. And from those greeting cards, they made $1,000. So that's $5 a card. And I was thinking, what if I gave them a bunch of paintings? Now, last year, in addition to the 200 greeting cards, by the way, I'm just painting white right now on here. In addition to the 200 greeting cards, I also gave them a rather large portrait of Jesus. Yeah, and I did that one in oil, and I took my time doing it so that, you know, I'd be happy with it. And I really was happy with it. Let me see if I can find a picture. I'll put it in the B-roll here. If you're seeing it on the screen right now, that's the painting I did of Jesus last year. And that auctioned off for $1,000. Now, if you think about a large painting like that, in the normal art market, it would have gone for a lot more money. But in a church auction, you know, people don't want to spend, not only do they not want to spend much money, but they don't really have much money, you know. And so this is a way not only to give them some art that they might not have otherwise had, but also a way to make it affordable to the average person. Maybe that's kind of where I am in my world. You know, because I've always been an average money when it comes to money. You know, none of us are average, and all of us are average. How about I kind of separate it that way? I think we're all unique, and yet we're all average at the same time, if that makes sense. So, you know, creating art, this is 11 by 14. It's not that large, and it'll fit in a home. Some people in our community live in nice homes, modest homes. Some have expensive homes. You know, some live in mobile homes. I lived in a mobile home for 10 years, and there was nothing wrong with it. Well, there were some things wrong with it. You know, there was a lot wrong with mine, but I mean, there was nothing wrong with the idea of living in a mobile home. Yeah, mine had like no air conditioning and no heating. So, oh my gosh, yes, in the winter, and believe me, even though this is Florida, and even though the good side of that is the winters are short here, and the good side to no air conditioning is I had windows. I had really nice, nice breezes coming through, and I could open the windows. So I guess I drifted here on my point. My point is that, you know, there's a lot of people. You always read about these artworks. Hold on, I'm trying to paint the side there now, so you might not be able to see what I'm doing. But you always hear about these art pieces selling for millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and everybody gets all excited because of the dollar amount. And then artists also say, "Oh, I need to make my money," and you do. There's no denying it. I mean, you have to earn a living. You have to be able to provide for yourself. So there's nothing wrong with selling art and making a living from it. So don't get me wrong when I'm saying this. But for me, this is just me. You know, Robin and I put in 30. Let me see how many it was. It was from 1984, like November of 84, to January of 2020. Okay, so from November, how many years is that? 84, 94, 2004, 2014, that's 30, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, that's 35 to November. So I don't know if you want to say 36. We can fudge a little bit. Actually, 36 is probably more accurate because I did have a part-time job in radio before it all started. But anyway, the point is, we worked 3 decades, whatever, in radio, and so we have, you know, we've made our money, if that makes sense. Not a lot, but we've made money. Let's put it that way. All right, I want to start this low because I want an orange sky here. Yeah, I'm purposely doing the horizon a little bit lower than normal because I want it to be like a morning sky. Yeah, okay, so back to the topic of money. So, do you know where I'm coming from? I mean, I really probably don't even need to explain this. I just feel like the people at the church, I know many of the people at the church, you know. And you know what? Some of them are just trying to make ends meet. They don't have much. And I'm not trying to be some great donor, because there are people who have money who donate a lot of money. I'm just not one of those people, but I have art. So maybe that's really what I'm trying to say here, is that I just want to do something. And you know, I don't want you to think that I think that I'm somehow doing this to get favor with God. I don't think so. That's not the way I think. I think God loves me, and I have faults, and I have made mistakes, and I think God is a forgiving God. And I don't want to get too religious on you here. Some of you don't even like talking about God, but as far as just my own personal beliefs, I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing this for the people at the church and for the people that they serve. You know, they buy things for people who have nothing. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, little bit of differences here in the distant land here. I'm purposely killing time to let that sky dry there. There we go. Just let me get a little bit of blue, some cool blue. That's cool blue. And I'm going to add some yellow ochre. What did I almost say? Yellow ochre? Let me put some light yellow in there, see if I can make it a different shade of green. Kind of a layered background. Alright, let me get some. What is this one? That's green right there, right? Get it very yellow. Just make it rolling hills. Not burnt sienna, this is Payne's gray. Put some of that in there. Some distant like bushes and stuff like that. Distant trees. Just put stuff in the background. So I have a family member, a cousin, who is celebrating 60 years of marriage. And they live up in Connecticut. So I was thinking maybe I could find a way to get up there. But I just can't. So Robin is going to see her son in New Jersey. Like next Thursday she's going. And the date I would have to be up in Connecticut is tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think so. Alright, let me get some of this yellow here. Like a big old swooping hill right here. Right here in the foreground. Big old swooping. Hear the birds outside, the crows. Well, yesterday we had a leaky kitchen sink. And I tried everything to turn off that incoming water thing, but I kept thinking it was going to break. It felt so tight. You know, it's probably not been turned in years. And so we had to call the landlord, and he came over. He was so nice. He's just such a nice guy. We were very lucky to have such a good landlord. Alright, let's get some more color in here. Get some darker greens here. See if I get some light yellow green. Little by little it's coming together. So anyway, so the sink had to have the feed tubes, or the feed pipes, whatever you call them, hoses, maybe they're called hoses. They had to be replaced. They were both leaking. Now, how did that happen? All of a sudden, there's two things start leaking. Maybe what it was is they were not both leaking, and then one of them was, and then when the other one started, then we started noticing it. That's probably the real answer there. All right, let's put some dark here. I kind of like some of the colors to be a little bit subdued, a little bit unsaturated. I don't want to say dull, because they're not dull, but they're unsaturated. Alright, now I want to put this bar down here darker. See, I'm still leaving that like that so I can put some orange in there. See, because if I did it first, it would turn that green. I don't want that to be green. That's one of the problems with the sky having two tones in it. Sometimes I like dark on the bottom of the painting. I don't know why. It just gives it like a base. Isn't that weird? There's probably so many examples of where I'm wrong. But I seem to do it all the time. It's kind of like your signature, you know. I'm always writing my name the same way. I kind of all do the paintings all the same way. I guess that's how people recognize that I did it. I'm not really sure how that works. But we as people are very good at recognizing things that we're familiar with. Alright, let's get this yellow in here. Get this real bright yellow. Put it in there. This can come up a little bit here too. Just rise a little bit more. Give it some room for some trees, I think. There we go. So it comes down and goes back up. Okay. Let's try and just gradually darken this as we get closer to the foreground. See, and I didn't do a background here with, underpainting. I purposely didn't do that. Hard to believe June is 2 days from now. It'll be June already. June was always such a magical month. June is like December when I was a kid. December was magical because of Christmas, and June was magical because it was the month that school let out for the summer. Oh my God. I don't know, I just liked the idea of riding my bicycle everywhere. That's how I remember summers. I remember summers with bicycles. My bicycle. Just I would ride it everywhere. I would call it a bike hike. I would say to my brothers, you want to go on a bike hike? And we would. We'd go out on a bike hike. Alright, I think there's our landscape here. Put some light there. Maybe make a little bit of illuminated trees or something here. Just little areas that have light on them. And we can come down here later on and make more. Maybe make a little trail right there. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, a little trail. Yeah, there's a little bit green here. Paints gray and green. That crow is just crowing. He does what he does. He's doing what crows do. He's crowing. There's a little trail, you see it? Like that idea of a little trail right there? Alright, now I'm going to put this brush away in the water. I'm going to use another brush because this is probably dry. Yep. And we're going to use, I think we'll use this big old stiff brush. I'm going to lay some, this is pretty much primary red here. I'm going to put that in there first. Oh, it's almost like a glaze. Ooh, I kind of like that. It's very thin. What if I go over those mountains? What would that look like? Oh, yeah. Like there's a nice glazed look to it in the background there. kind of cool. Well, see, it goes back to what I always say. I don't really know what I'm doing. Alright, now let me add some orange to everything. More of an orange. I think it's actually called vermilion on the tube. So if you painted like dollar bills using vermilion paint, would they be vermilion dollars? I like that joke. How you like my joke, huh? Is that a dad joke? It's a bad joke. It's a dad joke, it's a bad joke. Alright, here we go. Now let's start to add some of these yellows in here. Bring the sky to a more orange glow. I'm going to need to get more yellow out of the tube. Just keep adding yellow. Did I tell you guys that my little niece, 11 years old, stepped on a copperhead snake and it bit her, and she didn't get really sick, but everybody was very worried, obviously. Her leg swelled up really bad. She's okay now, but that was a scary week, especially the first day. The first day was the scary day. Whoops. Put some yellow on there. I messed up. Hold on. I tried to do two things with one hand. Yeah, I'll just put it on there. It's okay. I'm going to use it anyway. Just smear it on there. I don't know if normal art teachers would be happy with the way I use paint. They'd be upset. They'd be upset. You're making a mess. Yes, sir. I am making a mess. Just call me Papa the Mess. Papa the Messy Artist. Papa! Don't be so messy. Well, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that. All right. And then now we can get back to the normal brush. All right. All right, let's get this. Oops. That needs to be a lot more yellow. It's very impasto right now too. What is that? Is that a hair? I don't know what that was on there. Have you ever painted outdoors and you get bugs in your paint? Oh yeah, I've had that. Rob and I did a lot of plein air painting years ago, and inevitably, and this was oil paint, so inevitably bugs would land on the painting and get stuck in the paint. And they're in there. To this day, they're in there. You know, there's little flies, little bugs. They get stuck in the paint. And there's nothing you can do about it. Especially if you don't see it right away. It's like all of a sudden you notice, oh my gosh, there's a bug in there. Yeah, see, that looks a lot better than if I had done it while the what was I trying to say here? While the blue was still wet. Just adding a little bit of here to Kind of give a little bit of orange to the landscape here. Okay, keep going. Then we'll add some white right there to make that like a bright sun right there, right there. So it's a sunrise or sunset, I'm not sure what this is. Maybe some orange clouds in the blue sky. Then we'll add some white to it, just a little bit. Yeah, that kind of looks nice. What do you think? Do you like that? Yeah, let's add a little bit of yellow down here, orange. Yeah, kind of keep a theme going here. There we go. That looks kind of nice. All right, now let's go for some white. I need some more white paint. I'll just go put it right there. Just put it right on the painting. Get a little brush and move it around. That might be more than I need. That's way more than I need. All right, let me take some of it off of there. Take it off. Take it off. There we go. Bright spot in the sky. Did you see something in the news about a signal that astronomers have discovered coming from way out in deep space? Isn't that stuff interesting? Maybe there's another life form that's trying to communicate with us. Think about that. If that's true, then they were probably trying to get a hold of us for a long time, but, we didn't have radio for very long, really. Wasn't radio like 100 years ago, so we haven't really had radio signals, the ability to send them or receive them. It's really a relatively new thing for us humans. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just, what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to create like this illusion that some of these clouds have light coming up at them from this sunlight here. Just a little bit. I'm taking some of this paint that I put on there. Just lighting up some of these clouds. I keep thinking about camping. Maybe I should go camping. I have a tent. Okay, look at that. That looks kind of nice. I kind of like the way that looks. These little white areas on the clouds. All right, Bob Ross, you ready for some happy little trees? ready for some happy little trees. Maybe I could put some white down here. Maybe the ground down here is getting lit just like it would if it was water. Yeah, let's put some lights down here before we do the trees. Yeah, the land is being lit just like the water would be lit if it was water. Oh yeah, that looks good. Mix it with yellow. Oh yeah. And some of these trees too. These little trees here. Give them some light. A little bit of light here too. And then this trail too can be reflecting the light. There's our little trail. It's really more obvious now. It's a better trail than it was. This yellow's working out nice too. Now I know I'm going to do some trees in a little bit. Then we can add more light once we get the trees in there. But I just thought that would look nice to get some of these mid-ground trees a little bit lit on their tops. What do you think? Alright, let's put some trees in there. For the trees, I'll use some raw umber. Raw umber, that's what I'm using right there, raw umber. I think I want to use some of this too. What is this called? Burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. Like I think I've told you this before, I'm not good at remembering the names of the paint colors. I call everything brown or white or red. Alright, so let me start. Oh, my fingers are a mess. Let me start with the basic tree here. Right here. Start low. Just bring this tree way up. This is Bob Ross's Happy Little Tree. Nothing wrong with painting trees and paintings. They give it a, you know what they do? They give it a foreground look, you know. They bring things closer to the camera. I'm going to try to go all the way to the top. It's a little scary sometimes when you have a nice painting and then you're deciding to paint over it and just say, why am I doing that? Hope I'm not making a mistake. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger, I guess, at the base. And dab it in there. There's a happy tree. Alright, we gotta add more limbs to it. Yeah, somebody pointed out that I did the leaves first on one of my paintings. Yeah, sometimes I do the leaves first. I guess it just depends how I feel or what I see. Sometimes I have to see it in my mind, and then before I put it on the canvas, I just try it, and then if it looks right, then I keep going with it. That's probably the best way to explain it. But I'm telling you this 100 times over. Please do your own thing. You don't have to follow me. I'm not doing these videos to be the teacher. I really am not. I'm doing these paintings so that I'm just doing them, and then I like showing. I like kind of hanging out with you guys and seeing what you do and hearing what you do. But don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the compliments and the nice things you say. It looks like a Halloween tree now. No, we don't want a Halloween tree. We want a nice summertime tree because June is 2 days from today. So we're going to have a nice couple of trees here. Put another one right next to it. Two trees next to each other, providing a beautiful scene. The town to the north of where I live is called Gainesville, Florida. It's where the University of Florida is. And their nickname is Tree City. And I was there yesterday. And yes, they have a lot of trees there. Well, we have a lot of trees here too. But for some reason we don't call ourselves tree anything. We call ourselves horse country. Yeah, every city kind of gravitates to something that they use as their identity. Isn't that interesting? So there are horses in Gainesville, and there are horses in Ocala. There are trees in Gainesville, and there are trees in Ocala. There are trees in New York City. Yes, a tree grows in Brooklyn. What's the name of that song? Or a movie, or whatever that was. A tree grows in Brooklyn. I grew up not too far from Brooklyn. So whenever I would see that title, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, I would say, of course it does. Why is that a title? Why is that something? Why is that a thing? Why is a tree growing in Brooklyn a thing? Alright, we got it happening now. I can see it happening. Let's put a cluster of trees over here. I want to keep it open, so I have an idea to put some children flying a kite. I'm not sure I'm going to actually be able to pull that off, but we'll see. Just little trees over here. Here we go. Lots of little trees over here. We can take our time. They don't have to happen instantly. It's kind of fun to see them develop. When I first started doing these videos, I wasn't sure whether you guys liked the real time or if you preferred the time lapse. And to be honest, I got feedback from both people who liked the time lapse better and people who liked the real time better. And then there was also the discussion about the music. I was putting music behind some of them. I always started with music, but it goes away real quickly. But there's other music I've used in the past. I guess sometimes it works and sometimes I choose not to. I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I just do it. I think the videos are kind of like another art form for me. Absolutely they are. What do you think so far? The painting's looking very colorful. Kind of like that. I do like colorful things. I was always a fan of colorful things. Colorful paintings. Do you know Leonid Alfremov? Do you know that artist? He's passed away. He was actually younger than me. But he's gone already. But he made a name for himself while he was alive. And his paintings are outstanding, and they're so inspirational. One time, a couple times, more than one time, I have tried to emulate him and do artwork with the bright colors and the impasto style. I don't think he used a brush. I think he used a palette knife, which makes it even more interesting if you think about it, you know. Okay, little tiny areas here, little few trees. And of course we're going to give them some shadows. I'll come back to these shadows later and use a different color, but right now I just want to remind, I'm putting this here as kind of as a reminder to myself to put shadows on there. Right there's a shadow too, right now, on the edge of that trail. That little walkway right there. Alright, let's go for the trees now. Let's go ahead and put some get some of these trees in here. These leaves, I mean. We'll put the light colors in first. Yellows and the light greens and all right, and the other side. Here we go. some of this burnt sienna in there. Get some dark areas in here. Rely on this Payne's gray to do it. I think I like it this way because it gives it a backlit look for the trees. Let's do it over here now. Okay, let's try and get some more of that orange-yellow tone onto the edges of some of these trees here. Just a little bit here and there. Same over here. Let's get that dark green in there a little bit. Alright, now put that in the water. We've been working on this almost an hour, and now I've got to make a decision. So I was thinking about putting kids in there flying a kite. Let me get a small brush. Tiny brushes. Oh, there's a nice small one. That's too big. Maybe. No. Let's see. Maybe. I mean, if you think about it, I just need a couple small brushes. I don't think so, but I'll put that one to the side. Oh, there's a nice small one. There's a nice small one. Maybe. Okay, I think I got enough. I just need a small brush to work on these idea of these children. Or maybe one child, 2 children, I don't know. That looks like a nice small brush. Alright, let's make some little kids like right here. Just tiny. Use this color and see if I like it. Alright, here we go. Yeah, 2 kids. How about 2 kids flying a kite? 2 little children flying a kite. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be able to tell if they're boys or girls. I'm not going to worry about that. Little tiny children. All right, let's see. You know what's going to really make it for these kids is their shadows, I think. They're standing on the edge. Standing on the edge. put some shadows on them now. Here we go. Yeah, I think the shadow is what makes them very tiny. Oh, flying a kite. A little bit. He's got his arm up in the air, flying a kite, and this little guy is just excited. He's just excited to see the kite. Maybe they're sharing the duties, the kite flying duties. Alright, well there's our two little guys. How about that? Now let's put a kite up there somewhere. How about a kite right here? Right in the middle. I like the idea of flying a kite. Here we go. He's got to have a tail, right? Kites will have tails. They fly in the wind. There we go. Yeah, do I have any white? Yeah, I got a little bit of white left on here. Let's see if I can, yellow, maybe yellow is better. So you can see through it a little bit. It's a translucent, it's made out of paper after all. It's got a little bit of translucentness to it. Right? A little bit of that. Let me put a little bit of white on the tail. You can see the tail. That's their kite. You would not be able to see the string. There's no way you would see that string, but you would see the kite. What do you think? We get a little bit of darkness to it, I think. Actually, no. Let me not do that. Let me just make it bright red. It's going to be impressive. It's a big red kite. There we go. All right, now what we need to do is put some light on the sides of these trees where the sun is hitting the tree. I love doing this. I think this makes it all pop. It becomes so fun to look at. It just takes you away when you look at it. I like a painting on a wall that people stare at and just, it's kind of like listening to a song. Just somehow makes you feel good. That's what I want. I want to do paintings that somehow make people feel good. Somehow. Through the magic of art. Through the magic of creativity. You know, if you're a dancer, people watch you dance and they feel good. they enjoy watching you dance. Or if you're a musician and you play a beautiful piece or an exciting piece, or just a piece of music that somehow touches the soul, you are doing an amazing thing with your art, with the gift. You have a gift. I think I would like to make that message to everybody on the earth. You have a gift. It's a gift from God. You may not believe in God, but trust me, you have a gift from God. You can trust a guy you don't really know except for on videos. If you trust a guy who calls himself Poppa. You can trust a guy who is 70 years old, who's had his own share of self-doubt, who's had his own share of realizations that some of the golden rings I was chasing were not worth chasing. And yet, some of them were. This one is worth chasing. This is worth chasing because this is going to be a painting that will be in somebody's house. Somebody will buy it at the church auction. And they'll go home with this painting. Maybe it's a gift for somebody else, but either way, it'll be in their home. And you know what? The artist doesn't matter. I don't matter. All that matters is that the art itself actually brings some kind of joy, some kind of tranquility, some kind of escape. Some kind of a moment of reflection, perhaps. What do you think? What do you think about all that stuff? You know, when I had a dog, I used to talk to my dog as if she could understand me. Do you guys do that? Do you have a pet? Or a YouTube channel? I'm talking to my YouTube channel. I love when I read what you guys write. I don't always love them because sometimes people write not so nice things, but 99% of the time I'll just come up with a number. 99% of the time, the little comments you make are so nice and they make my day. And I really want you to benefit from these videos, not me. I hope so. Little tiny branches here now. What do you think? Should I make that? Maybe I should. Maybe it should be more backlit, huh? Darker, more shadowy. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think the kite, I was wrong about the kite. I think the kite needs to be darker. I thought it was going to look good being red, but I think I'm wrong about that. What's that color? Is that burnt sienna? I'm not sure. I mean raw umber. Yeah, I think I like it better darker. All right, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Well, what do you think? Flying a kite. Let's go fly a kite. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.